A lot of the time, when new players join EarthMC, their end goal is to create a town or a nation, conquer new lands. They see the server and ask their friends if they want to go conquer Saudi Arabia or any other nation on the server. Only rarely do players join thinking that they want to join a town and follow the rules of another owner. And yet, almost all of EarthMC's population are just members of large towns. So today I want to talk about whether you are really right for the role of town owner, or if you should go into EarthMC looking to join a town, make a house, and relax. But real quick before this video starts, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It always helps the channel out more than you know it does. It honestly, it does help out a lot. Maybe not just one subscriber, but when 3 people see this and they subscribe, that's something I actually notice every day. So please just check that you're subscribed, and if you aren't, please fix that. Activity is the most important part of town ownership. If you want to be a town owner, the number one thing I would tell you to do is just be active. Play every day or two, and keep your town going. Even if you don't know how to run a town, playing actively will be enough to help you learn. As you slowly work on your town, you'll slowly become more knowledgeable on how to grow and run a town. Every other skill needed will come slowly with activity. Recruiting skill, political skill, everything you need to be a good town owner. Everything you need to be a good town and nation owner is achievable by simply being active. And I will go out here and say, even if it ruins the video, do not make a town if you are not going to be active. I'd say if you aren't planning on getting on at least like twice a week, you should at least start by joining a town and see what it's like from there. If you decide you want to be active, then go make a town. That's a good idea. But if you're not going to be active, making a town just takes up space that other people could be using to make their towns. Every nation leader knows the inactive town owner. They're just in the way, making it harder to expand and grow the nation where they want to go. They may have stolen a name for a city or just claimed too much. But no matter what they've done, it's annoying, and it's because they're inactive. Activity defines whether you should make a town or not, more than anything else. Though it's not the only factor, it's definitely the biggest. Now, if you were to create a town and even be active, that does not technically mean that you'll be able to grow your town. I know I said it'll come with activity, and most of the time it will, but the player base of EarthMC is just so dumb that a lot of people watching this video really will not catch on. They would be left hopeless with their town, no idea where to go. So this is an important thing for town owners. You need to have the knowledge required to grow a town. This includes building skills, recruiting skills, and an overall level of knowledge above the average EarthMC player. Building wise, you need to be able to build in whatever style you choose for the town design. Residential housing, town center, government, and shop buildings. When I created my first town, I didn't build well, and it definitely came back to bite me. Everyone I knew called me a loser, and it made me sad. 0 out of 10, I would not recommend. Anyways, recruiting wise, you need to be able to recruit people to a level that you can at least get a few people to join your town, enough to expand your claims and keep your town from dying. The more people in the town, the more it'll improve on its own, and become a town that can survive without you in it. This will give you more time to do your own stuff, and enjoy your experience, which is why it's important to know. Another thing that you need to be a real town owner is Discord. Most, if not all, of the people watching this video should have Discord and know what it is, but if you don't, it's basically a messaging service somewhat like Skype. Most of the people on EarthMC have it, and it's a pretty required thing to be able to play the server well. You can technically run a town without Discord, but be aware it's a whole different world. Less communication with your town members, but also less threats from the outside world. It's just significantly different. Also, make sure to make a single player world to design buildings. That's just another way to make a good town. You need to be able to grow your town if you want to be a good town owner. And if you don't think you're up for the challenge, that's just another reason why you might not want to be a town owner. When deciding whether or not you want to create a town, it has a lot to do with where you are going to make that town. Because a lot of the time, I will have a very different answer for different parts of the world. So let's go over the different parts of the world, starting with the regions and getting more specific. Let's start with the hard no's. All of Europe. That is a big no on the server. Almost all of Europe has been claimed, so if you're looking to create a town in Europe, your options are to not or to buy a town, specifically a town that has already expanded a good amount. If you try to expand a town from scratch in such a claimed area, you're bound to fail, and it will happen in the worst way. You will be embarrassed and cry, and I will make fun of you. It would be a very bad experience. Anyways, next place, America. Specifically this part of America. This is another very crowded region with many hostile nations. A lot of areas around here could be decent, but I think inside this circle here is going to be a big no-no. There are a lot of reasons why this region has its problems, which I won't go over in this video, but just trust me when I say you don't want to make a town here. Now let's go with areas that you can make towns, but they'll come with a few problems and limitations. The first one is northeastern Africa. This area's main limitation is obviously Nubia. Now, I have nothing against Nubia, and I'm good friends with them, so what makes this area a little bit worse is that they're very territorial. You don't really have an option of not joining them, so if you're going to make a town anywhere within Nubia's borders, you'll have to join Nubia. So, if you're okay with joining Nubia, this is actually a very good spot to build a town in a fast-growing region. But if you aren't big on joining a nation or want to make your own, I'd call this area a big no. Please put a red X on the screen to signify that I'm serious. Yes, thank you. Another place a lot like this is Brazil. If you make a town in Brazil, you'll need to join their nation, but it's still a very nice place to make a town, and I do recommend joining Brazil. Really, anywhere in South America is a very good spot to build your town, as well as Australia. Though I will say these towns have a lot less going on, so if you want something going on, I'd go for maybe like West Coast America. Anywhere around there is very good, because it's not too like hostile and there aren't too many wars, but you are in a situation where you're like in the know and there's like actual stuff going on. Another nice place would be Asia, though I do think it's a bit more hostile. It has a lot more war-oriented nations. Another nice place is Russia. Russia has a lot of wilderness with a lot of different nations, but most of them seem to be nice. You're not going to get into any wars there most likely, so it seems like an overall pretty decent spot to make a town. Basically anywhere that I didn't mention here on the globe should be a pretty fine place to make a town. Basically just look on the map, and if there are too many people, don't make a town there. You should be able to figure it out on your own with just a little bit of common sense, although that's something that most EarthMC players don't have, so we'll see. In this day and age of EarthMC, being a town owner has a lot of struggles that go along with it, so I wanted to go over what some of those struggles are, and from there you can decide for yourself whether it's right for you. Number 1, the world is overcrowded. The server is significantly different than it was years ago. If you look at a map from a couple years ago compared to now, the differences cannot be stressed enough. It's a whole different server than what it was at the start of Terra Nova in 2018, 2019, anywhere around there. Spots that were empty then are completely claimed now, so being a town owner of a large town and even small towns is just very difficult because there are so many towns everywhere. All the most wanted locations are now uninhabitable because of the amount of people there. A good example is Michigan. I don't have a before photo, but I will say that it was empty when I made a town there. And if you look at it now, it's almost 100% claimed. This is happening all over the world, and it's sad to see for sure, and the main reason I support a reset personally. If all of this gets reset, it just clears out the world a lot and gives a lot more possibilities for everybody playing the server. And I just don't think enough is traded off to not justify that. So if you become a town owner, you'd have to claim as much as you can, preferably everything you need, as soon as possible, which is a difficult and expensive thing to do. Number 2, everyone surrounding you. So along with the towns around you claiming your land, they also annoy you in other ways. Declaring war on your town, trying to kill you, claim blocking, all things you have to deal with as a town owner. These players are a lot of the time very hostile and are trying to specifically make your life miserable. As a longtime town owner, I know the pains you have to deal with when dealing with neighboring nations and towns and players. It's very hard to deal with these people as well. You both want the same thing in the same place at the same time. It's not easy to make a friendship out of that, which is why a lot of the time friendships are not made. And if you don't make a friendship in whatever situation, it's completely downhill from there, a lot of the time resulting in the demise of your town. Problem number 3 is financial issues. As a town owner, you're almost always spending all of your gold on your town, claiming land, buying materials for building, and many more things. This is something you do not have to deal with if you don't own a town, which is why a lot of the time the richest people on the server are second in command. Town owners have to spend a lot more money while town members do not. And when you claim only around 90 chunks, that's over 1,000 gold, something a lot of town owners don't realize. These costs for claiming add up to be a lot of your gold you could be using on yourself. It's going to cost a lot of gold that you would be able to use if you didn't join a town. So back to all 3 of the main issues: claiming, enemies, and financials. These are things that you would not really have to deal with if you aren't a town owner, and that's a lot less stress, more enjoyment, and more gold. So that's a big factor into why you would want to stay in a town and lay low. So now we've come to the conclusion, where I come to my personal decision for what specifically a new player should do when they join the server: make a town or join a town. Now I will say real quick though, there are a lot of other options, specifically starting by joining a town and maybe waiting a couple months of being actively on the server, mining every day and making a shop, maybe something like that, and just overall like getting more gold. And then after a few months of doing this, when you're ready to create a town and you have the money to do so, you can do it. You can be completely prepared to do it, and you can know how the server works a little bit first. So that's personally what I would have to recommend. But if we had to choose between one or the other, my decision for what any new player should do after joining the server is that they should not make a town and instead join one. There are a few thoughts behind this. My first thought is that in all likelihood you'll not end up being active, so you shouldn't go all the way right out of the gate. My second thought is that you can make friends better and form a community with other people. Maybe become a fun second in command who has all the perks of not being a town owner as well as the perks of becoming a town owner. You get everything good out of the server and not much of the bad. Now I will say though, if you want to become a known member of the community, you're probably going to have to create a town. Most known members of the community are town owners, maybe nation owners, and even farther up, because you need a level of power when you're going to be one of the more known members of the server, and that level of power doesn't really come with being the second in command or just like an unknown player in a town. So if that's what you're going for on the server, I think you should create a town. But this is my overall decision, so there are a lot of like different ways why this wouldn't be true, but I think for the overall population, this is going to be what I so thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Follow the Twitter. I make some funny tweets over there. I'm absolutely hilarious. I'm doing a giveaway on the Discord for 1,000 gold, so if you want a chance to get 1,000 gold, join down there. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. Gosh golly, I hope you enjoyed it. Toothbrush.